On October 15, 2018, Jake Patterson commits a horrific crime that would destroy lives and change a 13-year-old girl's life forever. Welcome to Viral Crimes. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more stories. Jake Patterson first spotted 13-year-old Jayme Kloss one day in early October while on the way to work at Saputo Cheese Factory near Almena, Wisconsin. He had stopped behind a school bus on US Highway 8 on one of the 2 mornings he worked at the cheese plant when he witnessed Jayme get on a school bus near close to her home. According to Patterson, he had no clue who Jayme was, neither did he know who else lived at her home, but after he saw her, he knew he was going to kidnap her. After spotting Jayme, Patterson went straight to a Walmart in Rice Lake, Wisconsin, and bought goods for the kidnapping, which included a black-colored balaclava-type mask to hide his identity. Patterson carried his dad's 12-gauge Mossberg pump shotgun with him on the night of the kidnapping. He informed investigators that he chose the gun after conducting research and learning that the Mossberg model shotgun was among the most widely made or possessed shotguns, implying that it would be harder to trace. He believed a 12-gauge slug would impose the most devastation on somebody and would more than certainly be the best option of shell and weapon to murder someone. Additionally, he told detectives that he shaved his head and face and bathed prior to leaving his house in order to avoid leaving any DNA or hair at the location. Patterson even chose his clothing deliberately that night. He wore brown steel-toed work boots, blue trousers, a black jacket, work gloves, and the black balaclava mask. Jayme was in her bedroom asleep when her dog, Molly, began barking. She awoke, noticed the car, and immediately raced to awaken her mom and dad. James, her father, 56, made his way to the main door. Patterson arrived at the Kloss household in the dark and turned off the car and allowed the car to roll quietly into the driveway. Patterson parked his car, discreetly exited, and made his way to the red brick entryway stairs, where he noticed Jayme's dad, James Kloss, standing at a large window flashing a light outside. Patterson began pounding on the front door of their home and yelling at her father for refusing to open it. Jayme and her mom, Denise Kloss, barricaded themselves in the restroom and hid in the bathtub. Patterson stated that James Kloss obviously confused him for a law enforcement officer when he ordered him to show me your badge. Patterson then fired the shotgun through a little glass window through which James Kloss was peering through. The shotgun blast struck James Kloss, killing him. He then pointed the shotgun at the doorknob and shot his way inside. Jayme reported hearing a gunshot and realizing her father had been murdered. Jayme's mother dialed 911, but before she can even talk with a dispatcher, the Patterson broke through the bathroom door. Patterson he searched the residence for Jayme and smashed down the bathroom door when he discovered it was locked and blocked from the inside. He tore down the bathroom curtain and saw Jayme and her mother huddled in the bathtub. Denise put her arms around Jayme in a bear embrace. Patterson ordered Jayme's mother to tape up Jayme's mouth, so her mom did. Patterson stated that when Denise Kloss tried to tape her daughter's mouth, he laid aside his shotgun, grabbed the roll of Black Gorilla brand duct tape from her, and completed the task himself, wrapping the tape completely around Jayme's mouth and head. He then bound Jayme's wrists and ankles together. Patterson then alleged picked up the shotgun, pointed it at Denise Kloss's head, and squeezed the trigger. He targeted Denise's head as he was aware that shots to the head were the most effective method of killing someone. He then pulled Jayme out of the residence and across the yard, loaded her into the trunk of his car, and drove away, passing police cruisers with their emergency sirens blaring. He spent around 4 minutes at the Kloss residence. Police and volunteers looked for her for 3 months throughout northern Wisconsin. Thousands of tips were followed up by detectives. The FBI was offering a reward of $25,000 for information leading to an arrest. An additional $25,000 was contributed by her parents' employer. Posters featuring Jayme's image circulated. The funeral of her parents drew a large crowd of strangers. Neighbors came together to celebrate her at festivities. Relatives made a public appeal for information on her whereabouts. When Patterson arrived at his Gordon home, he brought Jayme into his bedroom and removed the tape off her. According to Patterson, he could see Jayme was afraid because she had urinated and her clothes were damp. He then told Jayme to strip naked and place her possessions in a bag. Patterson then handed Jayme a pair of his sister's pajamas to start changing into and then burned her clothes, the duct tape, and the gloves he was wearing in a fireplace in the basement of his house. Patterson placed Jayme in a space beneath his twin-size bed that is approximately 2.5 feet above the ground. When he would leave the house, he would surround the bed with plastic totes, barbells, and free weights to prevent her from escaping. On at least 2 instances, when Patterson believed Jayme attempted to escape from beneath the bed, he struck a wall and yelled excessively, to the extent where he understood she was afraid and knew she had better never attempt that again. Whenever his friends and family, including his father, came over, Patterson compelled Jayme to hide beneath his bed, threatening her with dire consequences. Patterson would force Jayme to remain underneath the bed for up to 12 hours at a stretch without food, water, or bathroom breaks. He once struck her very forcefully in the back with the handle of a device used to clean window blinds as she attempted to exit from beneath the bed. She recalls Patterson informing her that, if the offense occurred again, the consequence would be harsher. Patterson left Jayme alone in the house and beneath the bed for 12 hours during the Christmas season while he visited his grandparents. He followed news accounts of the Jayme's kidnapping and the search for her while holding her captive for 88 days.
Tonight, investigators are asking for the public's help in tracking down 2 vehicles that were apparently near the Kloss home around the time of Jayme's disappearance.
Fox 9's Paul Bloom live in Barron, Wisconsin for us tonight with the very latest. Paul?
And Randy, Kelsey, good evening to both of you. The hope up here is that this break has the potential to finally solve the case. Where is Jayme Kloss after 1 week? The sheriff hoping these 2 vehicles, that somebody, anybody out there might recognize them and finally put investigators on the right path.
No, we have not ruled out anything. We continue to look at this, from above to look at all of the aspects, and that's why every tip is important.
Barron County Sheriff Chris Fitzgerald disclosing the biggest public clue yet, vehicles of interest in the Jayme Kloss disappearance. Authorities explain the vehicles were spotted on surveillance video taken from nearby homes and businesses in the area of the Kloss family house on Highway 8 around the time of the terrifying crime. They are from the left, what's described as an orange or red 2008 to 2014 Dodge Challenger, and then a black SUV. Authorities have said it could be one of 2 models, either an 06 to 2010 Ford Edge or an Acura MDX from 2004 through 2010.
Again, I want to stress these are vehicles of interest only. If anyone sees or has seen these 2 vehicles in or around Barron County over the past 2 weeks, they are asked to call our tip line with the time it was observed, location, and license plate number if available.
Throughout the day, authorities have been flying this chopper extremely low above Barron and specifically the crime scene. That chopper looking for Jayme, looking for clues, and otherwise mapping grids to help with upcoming ground searches, including a massive search effort called for Tuesday. Law enforcement now looking for 2,000 volunteers to help comb this rural and wooded pocket of northwest Wisconsin. Now more than a week after she disappeared, Jayme still missing with no credible spottings of the 13-year-old girl. Remember, authorities believe she was in the house when someone kicked down the door, shot and killed her parents, and then fled early last Monday morning. Investigators have now cleared some 1,100 of the more than 1,300 tips that have come in from across the country in this search for a young child whose face now appears on billboards from coast to coast.
I'm not going to make comments about exactly what we're looking for, why we're in a certain area, because that may hamper our investigation. And as I told you from the forefront, we will not jeopardize Jayme's safety over the public having knowledge about this case.
Because he hadn't been found for the first couple of weeks, he felt he escaped capture in the killing of James and Denise Kloss and kidnapping Jayme. He discovered the names of her parents that he murdered only after viewing their names on several news shows and social media platforms. According to Jayme, when Patterson left the house, he told her he'd be gone for 5 or 6 hours. She managed to shove the containers and weights away from the bed and get out after Patterson left the house. She threw on a pair of battered men's sneakers and ran away. She ran up to Jean Nutter, a neighbor walking her dog, and introduced herself as Jayme Kloss and explained she needed some help. Nutter led Jayme to Peter and Kristen Kaczynska's neighboring home, where they dialed 911. Police immediately apprehended Patterson while he was driving through the neighborhood. He confessed to abducting Jayme and murdering her parents. Additionally, he informed officials that he meticulously prepared to kidnap the adolescent after spotting her boarding a bus one morning. He'd never met Jayme previously. Jake Thomas Patterson, who pleaded guilty to 2 counts of intentional homicide and 1 count of kidnapping, was sentenced to life in prison in May. Jayme made a statement, "He stole my parents from me. He stole almost everything I loved from me. For 88 days he tried to steal me, and he didn't care who he hurt or who he killed to do that. He should stay locked up forever." He can't take my freedom. He thought he could own me, but he was wrong. I was smarter. I watched his routine, and I took back my freedom. I will always have my freedom and he will not. He could never take away my courage. He thought he could control me, but he couldn't. I feel like what he did was what a coward would do. I was brave. He was not. What Jake Patterson did to this family was unimaginable. Please pray for Jayme's continued healing. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next video.